There are people here who are ashamed to say what they should say. I'm going to pick up stories of people who have already died because of this. The person was in a car. Someone kept doing donuts, showing off. You wanted to get out, but you were so ashamed to confront them, to take care of your own life, to say to that car, "I'm getting out now." And now that person is in the cemetery because they didn't have the courage to say no. The real difficult moment is your lack of maturity. A really cool episode happened. Vanderson was with me riding a motorcycle. Him, his wife, me, and Carol. Then a really cool guy passed by in the middle of the favela, riding on one wheel, trying to impress the women, right? To me, there's nothing impressive about that. He was passing really close to the cars, looking at me and shaking the motorcycle. Vroom, vroom, vroom. I looked at Carol and said, "Is he impressing you?" She replied, "I think he's trying to take your place here with me, that's all." And there he was, doing those wheelies, passing close to pole, going here and there, here and there. But we laughed so hard because his brain only had one thing, using the only skill he thinks is impressive. That makes him feel like Superman. He doesn't calculate the risks or how much it costs our SUS pocket, the public health system. There are so many broken people there every day because they're violating Article 244 of the Brazilian Traffic Code, CTB, from 1997. I think it's Article 244, dangerous driving. The guy is doing that, and in his head, it makes him feel like Superman because it's the only responsibility he has, doing a wheelie in the middle of the street as if nothing is happening. I asked Carol, "I'm feeling so sorry for him. I was just waiting for the moment he would hit a pole. If he knew he was generating that kind of feeling in us, do you think he would still do it? I used to be poor. When I looked at that scene, I thought the exact same thing. I would have passed by like that too. And looking at those motorcycles we were riding, some really expensive BMWs, he would look and say, 'These playboys don't know how to do this. I'll show you what real life is like.' Hey! And since I've already lived that mental scenario, I can imagine him arriving back in his favela telling everyone, 'Bro, I humiliated those guys on the BMWs.' All of this is just stuff in your head, just like beliefs. I want you to understand this. You laughed at this story, but this story is yours. Just swap the motorcycle. I'm not going to get on stage. I'm not going to open a company. I'm not going to expand to the United States. It's all stories you tell yourself in your head. It's a wave, you know? It's frequency. I laughed a lot, but I was also filled with compassion because I really thought he was going to crash. He was possessed, passing extremely close, lifting the bike, doing all those crazy things. By the way, my mentees, next month we're all going to learn how to do wheelies on a motorcycle. I'm going to see if I can find that guy. Oh, and I think I'm going to team up with Desafio Cunha, one of the best guys at car maneuver. He challenged me to see if I can drive a car on two wheels. Carlos Cunha, he challenged me. Crazy stuff. I'll do it quickly. Pay attention to what these difficult moments really are. The difficult moment is something you don't master yet. Whoever has never been without money doesn't know what the sadness of being broke feels like. Whoever has never gone bankrupt doesn't know the difficulty of waking up the next day with no idea what to do with the company, the people, the suppliers, or the commitments. Whoever has been betrayed, abandoned, ignored, or humiliated. The problem is, if you don't use the energy from that, you don't grow and you don't get stronger. And there will always be difficult moments again. The market is always in crisis. It can be considered a difficult moment, but we've had so many crises that you shouldn't be scared of them anymore. You should already have the posture to get out of the crisis. You should already have the emotional posture to say, okay, now we're going to have to do more. Now I have to connect more. Now I have to readjust the machine. So how do you use this intelligence? This emotional intelligence is the intelligence of the soul. I'm going to give you one remedy you won't believe, but it's a powerful one. One of the things that makes your soul grow the most and brings you peace is enjoyment. That's what you were created for. The more you dedicate yourself to enjoyment, the stronger you become emotionally. Marcelo, give me more remedies for the soul. The more you govern with your soul, the stronger you become. Another automatic remedy from the soul. The more you overflow, the healthier you become. It's not that you don't need to. God designed the universe this way. Do you have any idea what overflow is? Saturn is a planet with those rings around it. Saturn overflows into our lives without us paying anything for it. Saturn is a planet that never stops growing in size. It keeps increasing because everything on a collision course with Earth, Saturn pulls it in. I love theories that say nothing was created by chance. There's a planet that is the vacuum cleaner of the Milky Way. God created the vacuum cleaner of the Milky Way, placed it there so it could overflow into your life. In other words, it's serving the people of Earth in this galaxy. Overflow is so powerful that nuclear fusion of helium gas in a place called the Sun sustains life on Earth from 150 than 50 million kilometers away. Imagine, we have the Sun overflowing into our lives, the Moon overflowing into our lives, Saturn overflowing into our lives. All of creation was designed like this. Then you arrive, the pinnacle of creation, and you say, correct your speech, I am the pinnacle of creation. It's not possible that the little sun, which is mega powerful, is the pinnacle. Neither the Moon, nor Saturn, nor planet Earth. None of that is made in the image and likeness of the Creator. So if you are made in the image and likeness of the Creator, if you are the pinnacle that came last. By the way, I think no real man will be offended by what I'm about to say, but women are more important than men. Then you ask, why are you saying that against us? It was God who wanted it that way. He created her last. And everything He put in order, the first things created were to serve the later ones. When He made man, man serves the woman. Glory to God, brother. Go ahead. Give a loud, glory to God. Funny, when God creates all of this, He says, now we're going to the most important thing, our relationship. And that relationship is called enjoyment. In Hebrew, when the Bible says rest, it's actually talking about enjoyment. Next month, on the 18th, I saw the numbers and I was impressed. The third batch of the trip to Israel is really going to sell out now. It's not just a trip, it's a whole month of Israel plus mentorship. It starts on June 1st online. Depending on where you are, we're going to pray every day. We're going to study the issue of Egypt and Israel. I'll focus on helping you understand the mental drivers of these two peoples so you can take them into your marriage and into your company. Then we'll meet. There's a members area every day. On the 18th we board and spend 10 days together in Israel. In the last 2 days, we'll also do online meetings to close the month. So it will be the month of Israel. It's not just a trip, it's a lunar trip. Haha. Today is the 18th, so we have 30 days left to board on this physical adventure. Put the QR code on the transmission for those who want to go. It's the last batch. I believe that after this batch closes, I won't open another one. My main partners, my closest mentees, friends I invited. I think out of all the friends I invited, only one said no so far. All the others said, are you really inviting me? I said yes. I think it's very important that you're there. So there will be great friends I called, my main partners, and my closest mentees on this trip. Just the networking alone would be worth going for free. You'd be paying just to meet the most prosperous and resilient people on Earth, with the most powerful culture I've ever seen. It would also be worth it for the absurd spiritual learning moment. There are so many reasons. The few excuses you have can't outweigh all these reasons. I'll give you one last reason. It was the trip where I took a leap in my life in 2018. And it's a shame because at 38 years old, I could have gone to Israel for the first time at 18. But when I got the payment form, I chickened out. Let me tell you something about you. In the future, you're going to be very angry with yourself for having been a coward, just like I was. In the future, the bill always comes. But prosperity can arrive faster when you make decisions that sometimes squeeze you but completely change your brain, your connections, the way you see the world, and can completely change your reality and accelerate a process. I remember exactly what I thought. Sorry for sharing this, but it's real. At 18 years old, I picked up the paper to go to Israel. I looked at it and said, I'd rather have the car. That car I have today is stored in a warehouse. It's a goal. Funny, The goal didn't make me prosper, but the day I went in 2018, my mind changed completely. One reason, I left my faith there. I think I ended up with 70% of my faith. We learned in Israel, look how beautiful it is. I had a lot of faith to believe in a bunch of stories. When I get to the place is the fact. Why do I need faith for what is fact? And scholars say that one day in Israel is equivalent to 100 days of Bible study. So we're going to spend 10 days there. That's equivalent to 1,000 days studying the Bible, plus the mentorship starting June 1st. I think we're going to bomb this thing. There are also the Israel codes on June 16th and 17th, 2 days before Israel, and the Medipi here in São Paulo on the 15th and 16th. What is Medipi, for God's sake? Whoever has done the IP, raise your hand. Good. Medip is an immersion in emotional intelligence, unblocking, identity activation, and purpose clarification. 2 days with me here in Alphaville. You just take these 2 days, a Monday and a Tuesday, and your mind is going to explode. If you choose the Israel trip, I'm going to give you a 100% discount on the IP method as a bonus. You have 24 hours to decide, starting from the exact moment I said this. If you go to Israel within 24 hours, you save 20 grand on the Medip. Continuing, how do you make this brain stronger? By exposing yourself to crisis, challenges, and new experience. For example, even though I'm fearless and bold, when I went to drive a real NASCAR race car, even though I've been a pilot since 2019, something happened. I got apprehensive. I'm also human. I have a brain too. That apprehension wasn't about winning the race or being the best. My coach was on the radio saying, "Marcelo, I've seen you drive. You have Interlagos in the palm of your hand." I was laughing inside the car thinking, but I've never driven with these types of pilots. I've only driven with butchers, with the other guys. I've never driven with Zonta, never with Tiago Camilo, never with Caca Bueno, never with Rubens Barrichello, never in a championship. So relax. Let me get to know the car first. I went in giving it gas, spun out, came back to the track and said, I'm going to stay calm. I'm going to accept this in my head. Every beginning is annoying. Every beginning is annoying. The terrible thing is never starting. Dude, start. If I looked at each one of you and listened to just 2 minutes of your excuses and the little stories you tell yourself, I would tell you, you are 5 years old, you are 7, you are 11, you are 14. On your ID it says 48, 51, 70. It's not the number of Christmases that makes your age. Your age is your maturity. It's your choices and decisions. Write this down. The most important things to increase the power of your brain are choice and decision. Those two things are what make a person's brain stronger. For example, sometimes you haven't healed from traumas from your home, from where you came from. Most of our behavior with people is the result of what we received inside the house. It doesn't help to have a present father who doesn't give attention. It's the same as an absent father. A dictatorial, centralizing father will leave the child lost. That's why it's very good in marriage to have both father and mother present. The mother is comfort. The father is a scolding. There needs to be that balance of both, so the brain is configured to make you strong. If there's too much protection, the person becomes fragile. If there's too much force, only the male side, the person becomes completely blocked. At home, Carol doesn't want the boys to do almost anything they want. And I say, they need to break their faces, man. They need to be in the game to understand. She says, but we can avoid it. There are things you shouldn't avoid. There are things it's good for the person to decide as quickly as possible so they mature from a young age. Let's go. Is it possible for me not to care about what people say about me? Yes or no? Whoever doesn't believe this is possible, raise your hand freely. Whoever believes it. There are people who won't raise their hand because they think, only I will raise it alone, and Marcelo will come at me. Whoever really thought that, speak up. Do you truly believe it's impossible to live without caring about what others say? Or do you believe it is possible? How is that possible? When you say that, my heart feels compassion for you because you can't see beyond the curve. Why do you believe that? You believe it because you are an attached person, a perfectionist, a controlling person, and you pull all the energy toward yourself. You don't believe it because you've never turned on the I don't give a fuck switch. If you turn on the fuck it switch, you'll start shouting at what I'm saying. If you are detached, you start releasing the weight faster. And when you stop being a perfectionist, that is, you start doing things and correcting them instead of waiting for the ideal scenario, you'll remember, what do I have to do with other people's criticism? You care about people's criticism because you are attached to them. Look at what I'm telling you. If you worry about the criticism someone makes about you, it's because you are emotionally attached to that person, not to their criticism. Just detach. It's okay. It's the way you see me, not who I am. So just remember that the sentence the person is saying is about them. Many times people try to say something about me, and I stay so much at peace because I know who I am. But if you don't have your identity activated, you will always believe what third parties say about you. Your identity is full and activated. I doubt you care. Of course, everyone here, except maybe some physical hardware issue, is capable of walking. Whoever can't uses a wheelchair, but in principle, the body is formed to walk, except for some exceptions. But if you don't learn to walk, or if you're not in an environment where someone is walking, the baby will hardly walk. You know that. Because the baby feels a lot of pressure to walk, the mother wants him to walk, and if the neighbor Judith's son from the apartment across the hall walks first, it's over. Then they put a kitchen towel on him or whatever. You're going to walk. The neighbor's son walked, so you have to walk too. Now, put a human being in an environment where no one is walking. He won't walk. Put a human being in an environment where no one is talking. He won't talk. In short, the environment is one of the things that trains the brain the most. So, let's go. A little list of things for you to increase your intelligence, your cognitive intelligence. What increases it is decisions. You making the decision to increase your capacity for problem creation and solution management. That will make your brain more cognitively intelligent. If you learn to read, you become more cognitively intelligent. If you learn to detach, that intelligence is emotional, not cognitive. I'll explain why. Because the cognitive brain calculates what it costs. It says, don't detach, because it cost 5,000 reais. So cognitively, the brain doesn't want to let go of something. For example, I lend you 10,000, you don't pay me back. My brain says, you're going to charge her, she's going to pay. And just by remembering the 10,000 times, it's more expensive than forgiving you. Yes or no? What's the problem with the cognitive brain? It uses the past as a story. What's the problem with emotional intelligence? Listen to this. It uses the future as an argument. So, let's say we did a deal, and I stole from you in the deal. What's the normal cognitive reaction when a trusted person steals from another? I need to kill what is killing me. Deep down, the cognitive brain is so dumb that it doesn't calculate the future. It only calculates the past. If it knew how to calculate the future, it would say, is it worth staying 20 years in prison? So, in emotional intelligence, instead of using the cognitive to make this kind of decision, what do I have to do? This disloyal person, this dishonorable person, needs to follow her path. Let her go. You just release that person. But my head is even hurting. I have to do something mean to the person. I remember one day I was at the supermarket. An old man let a cart roll and it hit my car, denting it in the parking lot. I looked at him and said, "Is everything okay, sir? Are you okay?" He looked at me without apologizing. "No, I'm not going to pay. It was the cart. The cart is going to pay, right? Who is going to pay? I'm not going to pay. I don't have money." Then I thought, I'm going to do something mean to this old man, since he won't apologize, and he's blaming the cart, and the cart doesn't answer questions. I'm going after him. My brain was calculating only about the past, not the future. Then I came to a conclusion. I'm going to take his car key and throw it down the drain just to give him trouble. I wanted to resolve the anger I had toward him somehow. Are you like that too? Yes or no? You also have a brain. The problem is that the brain doesn't calculate even 1 millimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 minute forward. The brain only calculates backward. The day I discovered this, my God, I looked and said, I'm detaching because I'm not going to stop prospering. I'm going to fix this car, And this man is going to continue being stingy his whole life, unless he changes. I'm leaving here now, and I left. Funny thing is, I used to live in a poor neighborhood in Goiânia, and I would always see him at the same supermarket. He had to run away from me every time because he couldn't apologize. He would see me and, whoosh, run. And I would laugh because I had already disconnected. Forgiveness. Everyone repeats forgiveness with me. Forgiveness is not cognitive. It's not based on the story. In the story, there will be no logic. So if I look at what the person did to me, forgiveness will never have logic. The logic of forgiveness is not about what the person did to me. It's about what I want to live. So I have to use my emotional intelligence, which is automatic. I want to be far away from this type of person. So by being far from this type of person, I can release forgiveness. It's not for you, it's for me. How many people have killed others because of debt? It was so easy to disconnect from you and be fine in the future here without you and without that money, which makes no sense for me to stay attached to it. Marcel, but I can't stand looking at Instagram. The person is there, living well, traveling with my money. I love this phrase. How long ago did you lend the money? 3 years. Do you think he's still traveling today with that money? How much was it? 100 million? What is that? You're so crazy. Look at what it means to be cognitively active in decision-making for 3 years. You lent $1,000, but in 3 years, he must have spent about 300,000 on everything you saw on his feed. Do you think everything in 3 years was spent with your money? Why? Because the brain only calculates the past. Look forward. Isn't it much better to release forgiveness and say, I was an idiot, and I will never be an idiot again in my life. I was an idiot, and I will never be an idiot again. I don't lend money. I, Pablo, don't lend money to anyone. Zero. Not to family, not to partners, not to friends, not to anyone. Either I give it or I teach them how to make it. Someone looks until they finally find someone to give them the money. Then we have to raise the bar cognitively. You won't convince me to give you any money. Forget it. My brain has no authorization to release money. I think you didn't understand what I'm saying. That's why I don't lend. Because you tell me a sad story and I get so happy. I say, wow, you're going to get out of this. Can you help me? Hug right now. Close your eyes. Father, in the name of Jesus, get this person out of this, because she can't do it alone, and neither can my money. The problem was never the money. The problem is her. The prayer is good. You might get angry with me, but it's true. So how do you give money? Only if it's something emotional from the soul that really touches my heart. If I feel it in my heart, fuck the amount. I do it. Now, your best story is not getting anything. Let me explain to you. I'm not moved by the cognitive. It's not the cognitive that makes me make these decisions in my life. Emotional intelligence is the supreme intelligence in relation to the cognitive. I'll repeat. The brain is the past. The heart is the future. So just by understanding this war, you will never be a hostage in life again. You will never stay in this, I'm going to have this difficult moment. Do you guys hate confronting? Yes or no? There cannot be these people in your head. This room in your mind should only have your photo. Have you seen public offices? When a politician is elected, they go there and put up their little photo. In big companies, there's the photo of the president of the company. In the hall of your soul, there must be your photo. There can't be anyone there above you who can confront you. But some people listening to me now lower their heads, lower their necks, because they think there are more powerful and important people than them. When you understand, mature, and activate your identity and your purpose, there is no one on earth greater than you, except God. How do I explain this to earthlings who don't even know what soul or spirit is? If I am a spirit, if I receive the greatest of all spirits, which is the Holy Spirit, if I am a governing soul and my body is a machine, why would I fall into the story of having to pick up what others say? Then the person says, but then there will be rebellion. It's not just you creating your own culture and your own government. It doesn't make sense for you not to understand this. This speech is dangerous for humanity because humanity has been cognitively trained to obey others. When God created Adam and Eve, He didn't tell Eve to be submissive to Adam. He didn't say any of that. And submission until today is not vertical. It is horizontal. The man dies first in submission. It's different. It's not managing the other. God did not create human beings for us to take care of each other. God did not put backpack straps on people. And the generation of reborn babies is so crazy. Do you know why they are like that? I'll make a statement. Everyone insists. Say something about the reborn baby. I'm going to say it. Reborn babies are welcome in this generation. I'll explain. If people have so many cognitive problems, so many emotional problems, so many spiritual problems, and they're freaking out with social media and this lifestyle of the last generation, I repeat, the last generation, they can't reproduce as human beings. And I have to tell you, there are people today, with the lifestyle they have, for whom it's better not to reproduce. So having a reborn baby is a salvation for us. There are people who are so idiot, so crazy, and so psychically sinister that saying having a reborn baby is a blessing for us. They won't reproduce that madness anymore. It will just be her and the baby. But they can't go to Suez with almost 40 degrees of fever just to not mess us up. Stay home with that talk. Go see if in the next election there won't be a deputy elected for the causes of the reborn. You'll see. This outburst is an identity problem, a purpose problem, a cultural problem. So put that in your head. We are going to live the worst phase in the history of humanity of psychic outbursts. Most people are emotionally destroyed, and physiologically the body is no longer working. Your brain was configured to always live busy and without prospering. Your brain was designed for you not to advance. Ah, there is a matrix. Yes, a matrix. It's not something from the devil. It was created by people who don't know God. It was created by people who don't understand freedom. It was created by people who don't accept losing their power. A capitalist society. When you have this brain configured this way, I gave up being a capitalist because of this. First, I was a communist because of school, right? It's even a shame for me to say that I once was that. But it was mind configuration, hating the rich, calling the United States imperialist, etc., calling them bums. It's stuff from people who learned in public school. I am a product of public school. So I can assure you that I was a communist, and I liked Lula. I thought his ideas were brilliant, but I would look at the teacher who taught me, drooling with the desire to speak well of the guy, and I would think, bro, you don't prosper, man. That must be why. Then I understood. I started looking at capitalists. At least the life of a capitalist is better than that of a communist, yes or no? The guy can buy things, do whatever he wants, etc. I looked and said, then let's shape the right thing for capitalism. Capitalism respects you for what you have, not for who you are. And that was when I got into the fight of my life. There aren't just two systems. There are thousands of systems in the world. Being a capitalist is cool, generating wealth. And every generation of wealth generates jobs, income, everything. There's just one problem. In church, in politics, in any culture, capitalism values and devalues people by their possession. So this system doesn't make sense. But where is our system? So our system is from eternity. It's called governalism. It's a government system from heaven on earth. What does that mean? Everyone is made in the image and likeness of the Creator. If everyone sees themselves that way, we will value each other for who you are, not for what you have. If you understand this, what is called difficult moments will become funny moments. Because chaos, for example, scares a lot of people. In my life, many times chaos makes me stay in peace. Why? Because you've already overcome what you call pants, chaos. You've already advanced. You've transcended from your body, from your cognitive to your soul to your mind. Whoever is focused on eternity is not terrified by things of this earth. It's too funny. Most of you are Christian, but you're scared to death of death. That makes no sense at all. It shows how cognitive you are. Because if you are a governing, enjoying, overflowing soul, you look at death, and death looks at you and gets oppressed. Death is a spirit. Then it looks at your spirit. Your spirit is resplendent. Your spirit is a cannon of light on the throne of God, totally guided by the greatest of spirits. Do you think the spirit of death looks at you with the desire to take you? It looks worried. Ah, Marcelo, if I die, oh, God is sovereign. Death is a promotion. But your brain doesn't see it that way. Your brain sees, ah, if I die, my God, what will become of my life? What will become of your life? Your life never ends. Not even in hell does it end. When I discovered this too, I was so satisfied. If hell were the end of life, it would perhaps be interesting for most of you. Did you understand what I said, or not? If hell were the end of creation, it would perhaps be a great deal for a lot of people who would take an option and end what God created. Like, I am greater than God. I can end what He creates. He created a hell that has no end. I think that's really cool. I'll repeat for your cognitive to work. If hell put an end to God's creation, it would perhaps be a great deal for the majority of humanity. Then you would already accept your corporal, soulish, and spiritual weakness and affront God by saying, I am greater than you, because I put an end to what you started. I finish what you started. It wasn't like that. He made hell eternal. So you, who don't understand the game, will be tormented eternally. The person who says, I'm going to take my life, my son, you just took the car out of the race. But the driver will be tormented forever. The soul is the driver. There's no advantage. You can't confront the living God. God's justice has no flaw. What do I want to show you with this? Why be afraid of death if you're fulfilling what called you? It's death that should be worried about you. Why be afraid of what others do against you if the Lord is with you? That's what I wanted to understand. Why don't you unlock this quickly in your head? But how is it bad? Lula is our president. That's bad. But God put a limit on each person's life. And good thing, imagine Lula at 18 years old. If it were now at 18, he would be lost. He would stay like in the Bible, that period from the Old Testament to the New, 400 years of silence. He would stay a slave here forever. This era is ending. The system is mental, people. The system is not a thing where a group of people get together and say, we want to kill the people. No, if a people rise up, there is no system. When the people are asleep, anyone can say whatever they want, and the people will have to accept it. But when a people rise up, you know what I believe? I know many people don't believe, but I believe much more in what I'm doing, sending the mind of the people, than in any political position. That's why we minimally need millions of people with this mindset. You say, if I speak here now, we're going to put, I said the other day in the São Paulo campaign, let's put the cable car. Oh, but she's thinking this is Disney. They just approved it in the chamber to put the cable car. And now the journalist, and what do you think? I say, I'm happy that the mayor matured, right? Before it was me who was the bad Disney guy, and now he's going to have to put the cable car. The person says, no, but we don't need a gondola. There's no way to walk in the city. It's a matter of logic. I also said other things. If you want, you can take it. I studied it aerially. I didn't call an engineer. I looked at the city, counted how many highways from above, looked and said, it would be possible to put a pocket here. I even chose the land. I said, I'm going to make 5,000 parking spaces here, 20,000 here, 50,000 car spaces at all the entrances to the city so people can arrive. The cable cars already arrive at the places, and people find it more advantageous to leave the car at the highway entrance and take the cable car to get to the place to stay stuck in traffic that doesn't move. And then the parking lots become event centers. There are 100,000 events in the city of São Paulo per year, and without increasing to 150,000 events. In other words, the people keep bothering. There's a law in Brazil that authorizes turning right on a red light. This people is the most backward I've ever seen. It's so simple to fix this. There are cities in Brazil that have this. You go there, release it. But how are you going to do it with people who don't know? Train the people. Put it in the middle of the street and say, if it's red, the car is going to turn. Pay attention. But the mentality of the environment is an absurd thing. We need to put a bullet train from Rio Grande do Sul all the way to the tip in Rio Grande do Norte. Then the person says, wow, but a bullet train is expensive. I know it will be paid with your taxes, sir. It's already paid, by the way. Then the people's head. No, there's no way. There is. You know how? Change your mind. Put your brain to work. Put your soul to govern. And put your spirit to illuminate the path. Take these 3 spheres and put them the way I told you. How do you have more emotional intelligence? Detach, the most powerful tool I know. Reframing is one of the most powerful tools I've ever seen. Write this down. Install mental drivers. What are mental drivers? They are immediate responses from the brain. If the brain has an immediate response, it becomes more powerful. When I discovered that it's not worth memorizing anything in the brain, that thing was an absurd gain for me. I stopped memorizing. I don't know my phone number. I don't know license plates. Nothing, nothing, nothing. In the past, if you asked me what the shade of this paint in the auditorium is, this auditorium here, I would look and tell you the brand and everything. I knew everything. Today, I make a point of not knowing anything. Then you say, but you sound like Google. Only from experience, not from memorization. I no longer stop to memorize anything, anything, anything. Sometimes you think it's a joke. I found out about this lecture now together with you. You already knew before. Then you say, but how do you go on stage unprepared? Then let's split a lecture. Prepare for a month, get on stage, and let's see where you go. It's not that. It's because you learned the method. The method you learned, you need to behave so others accept you. I say whatever I want, and if you want to ask anything, feel free. You'll see the fruit of experience, the fruit of unlocking, the fruit of challenge. I'm not being rude. It's because I have the mental drivers well configured. Almost 20 years doing this. Then you pick up the microphone. Let me ask you a question. The other person says, wow, everything you ask him, this guy answers. From this side, these questions never change. It's all the same. You're impressed that he has the answer. And I'm like, what am I doing here that the questions don't change? They're always the same. The question reveals your maturity. It reveals your intention. The question is something that says more about you than about the world. Do you want to have more emotional intelligence? Yes or no? So where my life started to change was when I learned this in 2005. I started to steer in this business. I would talk to anyone. No one knew what emotional intelligence was. And then, when this thing aggregated in my brain, I said, I need to be more resistant. I need to be detached from what hinders progress. I need to be more resistant in what I need to close the cycle. I would write it like this. I need to be detached from what hinders progress. I need to be resistant with what I need to close the cycle. So I have a cycle to close, a wave of frequency in the brain. If I don't finish it, I can't get that. As I told you, the brain's self-regulation system only releases you to the next wave of frequency for you to hit the result. Why am I going with profit or with loss? I don't want to know about the money. I want to know about the result. The result is greater. Everyone say, the result is greater than the profit. Say it again. The result is greater. The loss is greater. The loss is greater. So why do I get excited about this profit and loss thing? I need to finish that phase. When I close that cycle gives a signal to my brain. You can regulate. It's called a potentiometer. You can increase the potentiometer of the brain because now you're going to operate at another frequency. Simple. The brain operates at another frequency. But the brain itself has all the waves but doesn't release them because you're attached to the 10,000 you lent to your friend. In this transformative video, Pablo Marçal reveals how to develop emotional intelligence to overcome difficult moments. This was broadcast live on May 18, 2025, at 7 p.m. Pablo Marçal shares practical strategies to maintain emotional balance in crisis situations, empowering you to prosper under pressure. Pablo Marçal highlights the importance of conscious choices, such as recognizing emotional triggers, practicing resilience, and cultivating self-understanding to deal with adversity. Pablo Marçal also addresses the power of a balanced mindset, emphasizing that impulsive reactions can be controlled with self-control and reflection techniques. With practical examples, Pablo Marçal inspires profound changes, promoting autonomy in emotional management. Pablo Marçal reinforces that emotional intelligence is the key to transforming challenges into growth. And Pablo Marçal invites everyone to master their emotions to live with clarity. Don't miss Pablo Marçal's lessons for a stronger and more resilient life. The Pablo Marçal video reflects his unique approach, combining intense motivation, practical insights, and spirituality to empower the audience. Pablo Marçal uses captivating rhetoric, appealing to the desire for overcoming, which engages widely but can sometimes simplify the complexity of emotional issues. Pablo Marçal's emphasis on resilience and self-control resonates with those seeking quick solutions, but sometimes lacks nuances about the need for professional support in deep crises. Aligned with personal development trends, the speech reinforces individual responsibility for emotional health. The absence of specific sources may limit academic validation but expands popular reach. The video inspires but requires critical analysis to distinguish enthusiasm from solid strategy. Pablo Marçal positions himself as an accessible mentor, although his style generates debates in the field of emotional coaching. Emotional intelligence, resilience, Pablo Marçal, personal development, overcoming.